Podcast, no jinx, backs, double jinx.
It looks like we're live, friend.
Hey, finally. Oh, my word.
Oh,
all right, send this to somebody because Lord knows.
Let me send some people over
The
this
good
way.
Lord, he knows.
He knows.
Oh,
so just keep talking. Start talking, Phil. Tell the people. Say hello to the people.
Hello to the people. We've got a couple. I've got like 17 notifications that our Magetalk has started a live broadcast. So funny. Love that.
We'll have to tell people this is.
You know what's awesome is that I also have it integrated with Twitter, so it's tweeting every time we started. Like, I started a live. I started a live. I started a live. Love it. I can't wait to see what people at SD say that I'm streaming in the middle of the day. It's gonna be exciting. Hey, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, is what I always say.
That's
for live streaming. That's what they always say.
Always say. Darn it. Okay.
All right.
Well, I have redirected a few. I've redirected a few individuals. We've got 3 viewers. The viewer count is starting to pick up.
Welcome to Magetalk.
Welcome to Magetalk, everybody. Jeez,
Son of a gun. I don't know. Like I lost all of my fire. I had a lot of fire. I had so much fire. I was ready to go.
I had fire in the belly. I mean, I had so much fire in the belly. It's
yeah. So I had you ever have poke or poke? I'm not sure how it's pronounced.
Poke. Yeah, poke, like sushi in a bowl.
Yeah. So I had that for lunch.
Yeah.
I also have in the belly right now.
I got it. I get it.
From a questionable source. Don't ever eat the supermarket sushi. You know what I'm talking about?
Bro, literally the only sushi I've had since moving to Texas for the past 4 months is supermarket HEB sushi.
You say HEB or you say Heb? You got to say the Heb.
Heb? Are you?
Heb? People say that.
Quick question for you, Philip. Yeah. Which one of us is the Texan?
Okay. I am Sans Texan.
Thank you. I'll remain the expert on all things HEB. And
so many syllables. Like you could just say Heb. Also, by the way, for those on the live stream, I'm enjoying a 2018 vintage San Pellegrino.
Yeah, you are.
Or as we would say, the Sans Pellegrino. We can say San Pellegrino.
Sans Pellegrino. It's like water without the Pellegrino.
Yeah, it's water. It's water without Pellegrino. Holy cow. Okay. Well, we've got a lot today. This is our first live stream since Imagine, which was our first live stream since the previous Imagine. So, my word. Kalen's about to die today. So
yeah, we're gonna rename this one Live Cough Live. It's basically a live cough stream, is what it is.
It's so funny. I went to our Magetalk YouTube. And I tried to find our live stream from Imagine last week. Couldn't find it. And it's because for some god-awful reason, when we went live at Imagine, it posted as 2017. Like
right.
And I was sitting there trying to figure it out. I'm like, where is this thing?
Yeah, exactly.
And then I fired it up. I pressed play, and that's the one. It's the one with the hair.
Yeah, you were a little bit bigger. You were a tad... You were a touch larger in that particular live stream.
In that particular live stream, I was 285 pounds at that particular point in time.
Slimmed down a bit. By the way, we got to give some quick shout outs to everybody that's been hanging in there with us in the stream.
My word, thank you.
He said it's tougher than it looks. No.
Yeah, he makes it look easy, TJ. He's also got a killer camera set up. He always makes it look really nice.
He does make it look easy. He looks so good in person and on the stream. Not even fair. Laura Falco also representing.
Can I throw a shout out and a congratulations over to TJ? TJ impressed the living snot out of me. So TJ was on the big damn journey, and he was working his running game up. He was working his way up to 5K. I saw him crushing it, and I heard he ran a hardcore race at the big damn run. So I wanted to give him a first serious shout out. He also told me, I don't know if it's public knowledge or if I'm allowed to do it, but since Kalen always likes to say things he's not allowed to say.
We're going to do it live. And remember, Phillip, there's no editing in this one.
That's true. This is TJ said that he's lost 30 pounds, which is fantastic. Like that's incredible.
That's
So
awesome.
congrats, man. Freaking awesome.
Congratulations. Laura Falco, who, by the way, is doing a bunch of Magento training now. She's come up through the ranks quite swiftly. And she said, I had to interrupt my alligator video to tune in. So that's, I mean,
What is an alligator?
what, I'm not going to ask any particular questions. She can volunteer that information in the live stream if she really wants to. But when somebody interrupts a quality YouTube, have you ever gone down the rabbit hole of YouTube animal fights? Like you can see a gorilla fighting like a chimpanzee and like all sorts of an ostrich fighting like 75 pigeons.
Yeah.
There's some.
First of all, that's not a thing.
There's some quality content on the
that
internet.
doesn't exist. That's fake news. I don't believe it.
Also, Damian Culota. Sorry, last one. I'm just going through the list.
You got to shout out people. This is so worthless for people listening later on.
I know this is the dynamics change a little bit with the live stream. But Damian, thanks for popping in, man. Magento Master, huge shout out. Good dude. And sorry, Philip, you were
no,
saying,
it's fine.
Please.
That's cool. You're the live stream master now. I have nothing that I can possibly add to this. No, I was laughing yesterday. I was on your live stream with Rebecca later in the day. I popped on just to check it out, and
you watched the whole thing all the way through. Come on.
I know. See, that's the funny part is I couldn't stomach it because you were like grabbing your microphone and rubbing it on your new beard like this the whole time.
Oh my God.
And I'm like sitting there like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna throw up every time. I was like, Kalen.
I had a feeling that was happening because it kept auto switching to me.
Oh yeah.
And I wasn't even talking. And I was like, what is happening? And then at one point I thought that was it. So I tried to kind of hold it and stuff like that.
You know what helps with that is just shave that goatee. That'll help.
Just shave that goatee right off. But then the only problem with it is that I'm not going to have the sweet goatee. So
let me point out the fact that so that Atwix sticker that made the rounds at Imagine, which is phenomenal. It's the most incredible sticker ever. It's the also your dancing and calisthenics, by the way, in the video is just the best.
I got to stretch it out a little bit. Yeah, TJ also laughed at that. TJ also cracked up at that.
You can't just sit.
The funny thing is, I can't. I literally can't. The funny thing is that when they're watching, they're only seeing you, and when I do that, you're seeing me, but they're not seeing me. So they're
so funny.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here laughing at something they can't see. Which
these are all just live streaming pro tips. I'm just breaking you down with the knowledge.
Oh Lord, yeah, you are breaking me down, but I don't know if it's with knowledge. So. No, the other thing that I found really interesting about that picture that Atwix had made is that a lot of people were like, "Oh my gosh, this is you, Phil. That's amazing." Who's the other guy?
Who's the other?
Which I'll tell you what, I about died. Like, that's Kalen. They're like, that's weird. It doesn't look.
And then
like
they're
Kalen.
like, "Who's Kalen?"
Yeah.
No, that's a 22-year-old idealized version of me. So, that's exactly what that is. A couple other people we just got to give some love. Andrew Sanjawala, what's going on? What's going down, man? Yeehaw. Also, Alan McGregor. Now, Alan, I want to give you a shout out. You are actually in the doc right now as we speak, Alan. So we might as well get to this now.
How is Alan in the doc?
Alan's in the doc because Alan published an article to medium.com entitled Celebrating the Past, Sprinting into the Futures, into the futures. Although some people would argue there's an infinite possible number of futures in the future. So
I would argue that. That's for
right.
Sure.
Infinite, what's it called? Infinite universes or something like that?
Multiverse theory, but yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. So after 8 years, today is my last day at DeMac Media, also known as DeMac Media.
Is it DeMac? That's
also
not how you say it, ever.
Do you call it DMAC?
DMAC.
DeMac. I call it DeMac.
Your video's frozen, by the way. I don't know if anyone else is seeing that, but it's frozen for me, which is
it
fine.
Froze up?
Yeah, totally froze up. It's all good.
All right. Well, I'm going to keep talking.
You just keep talking.
I can switch to my other camera if I need to. I need to get a continuous power source. When I switch to my other camera, it's going to be a much less quality shot of me. It's just
oh,
like
wow.
this.
Look at that. That's the goatee is 95% of the screen.
Yeah. I almost think the frozen shot is better at this point. I'm going to just stick with
What's the point of even having a live stream?
Well, you're live. They can see you. They can hear me.
You're doing most of the talking, though. I'm going to be honest.
Hear you. Do you really think I should do that one?
No, I mean, I want you to do something.
You think I should do this one instead?
This is good. I like it.
Holy cow.
What's the deal with, like, I'm trying to figure out what you've done with your video setup. Like, you posted this picture the other day with the lights in the video.
Yeah.
And you have this really nice Rode boom mic that's sitting on top of the camera.
Yeah.
It's unplugged. Like, the plug wasn't even plugged into the camera. I'm like, no, it wasn't.
It's
that
plugged.
Picture, bro, it was not.
I might have unplugged it. I might have unplugged it, but it's plugged.
I was going to say, there's 20% of your problems right there.
Yeah. Here's what I'm going to do now. You know that exercise where you try to like squat on your knees?
Yeah, that's called a squat.
No. Like where you lean up against the wall and you put your legs horizontal and you see if you can do it for more than 45 seconds.
A wall squat? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to see if I can do that for another 45 minutes.
Right.
But yeah, so Alan has did I just cancel out of that?
Yeah. This is the best ever.
Yeah, this is quality stuff. Come on, guys, everybody relax. Okay, so Alan has moved on, and been a huge part of the Magento community for quite a while, and it's time for new adventures, and he didn't specify those, but he did put a quote from Jocko Willink, which I would like to read on this fine occasion, which is, if you ever get your ego in your way, you will only look to other people and circumstances to blame. I don't understand the context. I don't know if that's like him trying to say he has a huge ego. I don't think you have a huge ego, Alan, but those are your words. Those are Jocko's words, not mine.
That's something. That's something right there.
Can we real quick talk about the elephant in the room, which is this V-neck shirt? Real briefly. Literally the only reason I wanted to wear this shirt, okay?
It says Mojo.
Shout out to Mage Mojo, our lovely sponsors, is because I keep telling them that I'm not feeling the V-neck. And you know, Marsha's so nice. She's like, it looks so nice on you.
It does look nice on you.
No, it doesn't, Phil. It does not. It absolutely does not. And the only reason I'm wearing this is not to promote Mage Mojo, but literally so that they'll finally realize how horrible the V-neck looks on me in particular.
You're not helping your cause, because it actually does look pretty good on you.
Does it look good?
Yeah, it looks good.
Are you just messing with me?
I mean, I'm seeing more of your neck and your chest hair than I have in a long time. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. That's
you want me to zoom in on some chesties real quick?
Let's not do that.
So yeah, shout out to Alan. Laura I think this whole show, Phil, is just going to be interacting with the audience.
I really hope we don't do that. That's a bad idea. That's a terrible idea.
Well, Laura's asking where your orange background is.
My orange background?
Yeah, where's your orange background?
Yeah, it's noticeably absent. I'm going with post-industrial theatrical lighting infrastructure.
Classy.
That's what I'm going for. It's very classy. Classy like a llama.
Classy like a llama.
Very good. Good stuff. So yeah, Alan's moved on. Congratulations, Alan. One congratulation, not many congratulations. Just you only get one.
Just one and a half. I think he's earned it. I think he's
That's
earned
interesting. I'm excited to hear more about what he's going to do there. That's pretty cool.
He kind of told me, but I guess it's not public, because unless he says in the stream here that I can share publicly.
Oh no, it says he's the CTO at Browse.
There you go. Yeah.
What it says it's what it says on Medium. It's Medium official.
It's Medium official.
That's Medium official. That's what I've always thought. You know what's interesting is, okay, so not to rag on anyone.
That's what you say immediately before ragging.
Before you rag on someone. I have heard on more than one occasion that DMAC doesn't really do Magento much anymore. In fact, they're like, if anything, they're 90% Shopify.
I have seen them doing some bunch of Shopify stuff.
They do a lot of Shopify, my friend.
You know what's great about this live stream?
Hold on, like I just want before you go context switching. The other thing is they have had on their website, which by the way is dmacmedia.com. They had on their website. Now it's not there, of course. I go there, it's not there. Never mind. They said they were coming to Florida. They've said that for like 3 years, and they've never come to Florida. But
I know somebody else that's going to Florida. No,
AOE,
Georgia.
Finger guns. AOE's in Florida now.
Oh, really?
My boy Clemens.
Very interesting.
And they're hiring aggressively, and we don't take kindly to those kinds of aggressive moves.
I understand. Clemens is a good dude. I met him, I think, for the first time at Imagine this year. Very tall individual. As Rebecca
Oh no.
Brockton
Yeah.
pointed out, a lot of people are very tall in real life.
Yeah, much taller than they appear on Twitter is what I think she said in
Is
the
what she
closing video.
said. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of the closing video, now I'm doing what you just did. The
There you
closing
go.
video, I have to say something. The closing video that was shown at Imagine is different in one fundamental way from the closing video that is live on the Magento Facebook and YouTube.
Oh, wow.
And in that, the clip where I'm speaking at the opening session on the Monday of Imagine, they took this little clip of me saying, you know, set time aside, you know, plug in, like make the most of this week, blah, blah, blah. That little piece at Imagine, when it appeared, it said Phillip Jackson, e-commerce evangelist, something digital.
Got it.
Now on the socials, it says Phillip Jackson, Magento master.
What?
So
we see what you did there.
Hey, I'm watching you guys. I'm watching.
We see precisely what you did there, Magento.
Anyway, I found that to be sort of a little sort of meta level of humor. How I had this imaginary conversation in my head that a bunch of Magento partners got frustrated that I was quoted as working for something digital. I don't know if that's actually the case, but it's the kind of thing that I would probably have complained about if someone else from another partner agency was on the stage. So,
oh my gosh, if it was somebody else, the amount of complaining that you would have done is just obscene.
Nah, it would depend very heavily on who it was. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of really positive community contributors these days, and you know, anyone that I think has built up a reputation to be a positive contributor outside of their agency is someone who would be very welcome in my mind. But anyway, I just found it funny that was the thing that happened. You know what's funny is you could use this frozen picture as the Mojo Stratus product detail page gallery image, like the V-neck, whole V-neck thing.
Totally could.
Okay.
Totally.
All right. What else do we got? You want to talk about?
I apologize. I want to give a quick shout out to Carmen Bremen.
Oh yeah.
Who is all up in the thread. Hey Carmen.
Nice
got a chance to. What's that? It
was nice to meet Carmen, by the way.
Yeah. It was super nice to see her. Man, it was super super cool to see all the master. I want to say a lot of representation from Europe in the Magento Masters.
Oh yeah, big time.
Right? What's the story there? What's the deal there? Why are they better than us?
We talked about that.
Social health care? What is it?
We talked about that. Remember, I had this whole thing about, you know, why are there so many Americans, and then it turns out it's just Brent and I in the most recent batch of Magento Masters. I said that's the most American thing I could possibly have done, is just assume that they were all Americans.
Right. That was beautiful. Yeah. That was beautiful
for the Magento Master community, which is kind of cool. I love having, you know, more broad representation, especially from Latin America. I mean, a lot. Oh, hey, there you are.
Hey, I'm back.
You're not even paying attention. You're just fixing your video.
No.
The whole time. That's all you're doing.
That was just a real quick move. And as I'm moving the mic here, this is a complete nightmare. But the good news is, people, this is going to be so much better next week. You have absolutely no idea. Are we doing this
again? I'm never doing
this. We are 100% doing this again. That's for sure.
Can I wrap a couple things that I'm going to be doing in the next couple weeks?
As long as they don't involve MailChimp.
Next week. Okay, well then let's just skip this.
Please, go ahead.
Next week, Monday, Tuesday, I will be at B2B Online in Chicago. So if you're around and you're in Chicago and you're at that event, I'd love to meet up with you. I'll be giving a roundtable discussion with WB Research about voice technology and how it's affecting supply chain and how businesses can use voice commerce. So that's next Monday, Tuesday. Then Thursday next week, I will be in Hotlanta.
Hey.
I'll be in Atlanta with MailChimp, and we're doing a joint event at Citizen Supply at Pont City Market called Merchant to Merchant. We're doing a live podcast. We have some merchants that actually, so if you're not familiar with Citizen Supply, it's basically a real life marketplace, like what you might be used to with, Amazon, but it's a real life place where you can go and see a bunch of different merchants that are all set up in one store retailing under one brand called
Oh, wow.
Citizen Supply,
That's
which is
cool.
really cool. So there'll be 3 retailers on that panel. That'd be really neat. And that podcast will come out at podcast.somethingdigital.com in a couple weeks. And then the following week, I'll be in New York, and we'll be doing a meetup up there. And then in the first week of June, I'll be back in Chicago for IRCE. So a bunch of places where you can see me. And I'd love to meet up with whoever's out there.
Very nice. By the way, what are we billing ourselves for that ad spot there? Because that felt distinctly like an ad spot.
That wasn't an ad spot.
Here's my question, Phillip, is that what's next for you, bro? Like you leveled up to the next level, right? And
is that true?
Yes, it's true. You're
Super Saiyan. My hair definitely shows that.
You got paid. I'm waiting for you to say how much you got paid. You got paid a lot of money to speak. So
that's not true.
So what's next, man? What are you gonna do? Like what's
Dude,
next?
I don't know. I don't know. In the words of Warren G, what's next on the menu? I snap next when I flex. Let me continue. So
okay.
Okay. I don't know, dude. I haven't really thought too much about it. I've had some invites to speak at a few Magento events here in the end of the year. You know, Meet Magento London, Meet Magento UK is definitely a thing that, you know, I'm possibly going to attend one way or another.
Titans Austin.
Yeah.
Titans
Austin, which I'm not committed to anything right now. I really actually need a little bit of a break from the road.
How dare you?
How dare you, sir?
I don't want to hear about your work-life balance.
Yeah, so I need a little bit of a break from the road. Obviously, the next 3 weeks, I'm not going to get that just yet. But my schedule is insane. And Imagine was such a good event for Something Digital. You know, I definitely need to double down and get to work on some of that stuff. I'm personally very interested in things like GDPR. Right now, it's something like I want to get back to the content production that I do for Something Digital and a lot of our evangelism, which is part of what I do. So I really want to talk more about that sort of thing. Also, I'm not done talking about ADA compliance. It's heating up in a big way. We're seeing a lot of like third-tier retailers in the like $5 to $15 million annual revenue range that are starting to get hit with lawsuits. And so there's a lot of stuff to focus on, and what's next, I have no idea. But you know, I've got a ton of ideas, and I've got a whole notebook full of stuff that I want to do, but I'm just not sure what I should focus on just next. Yeah,
I can dig it. Okay, I can dig it. I like that. I'm distracted by the fact that TJ asked for, if we're going to mention Warren G, if we can get a few verses of Regulate, which just hit the east side of the LBC on. Okay, that's it. That's it. Got half of her on a mission trying to find Mr. Warren G. I could go all day long.
Yeah, Kalen sees a car full of girls. Ain't no need to tweak. All you skirts know what's up with 213.
213. Yeah, this live stream thing is so interesting. Sean McManus just joined Magento Cloud team. Congratulations to him.
Who's Sean McManus?
So he was at Imagine. I connect him. He was with, I want to say, Pier 1 Simple Helix. He was with another hosting company and got snatched up by the cloud, by the mother cloud. And so
by the mother flipping cloud.
TJ said, sorry, I asked. How dare you? How dare you? Yeah. So, okay, let me give Lavelle a quick. Wait. Okay, go ahead, please.
There's one thing about Sean. Just
Zero
the name Sean.
Yes.
When you're Sean, like you have to be, this is not an original joke, by the way, but if there's one way that you can sort of always have the upper hand in any conversation is knowing something that someone else doesn't know, right?
Right.
When your name is Sean, you always know how your name is spelled.
True.
Nobody else knows.
Right.
The mystery.
It's
international man of mystery, Mr. Sean McManus.
It's almost like when your name is Phillip and your Twitter handle is Phil Winkle, and only you know that you like to be called Phillip and not Phil.
You know,
you have the upper hand in
Phil Winkle lip, but it sounds a little weird. You
Yeah.
got to be honest.
You mentioned GDPR. Have you heard my GDPR joke?
No.
It's not actually mine. I saw somebody else on the internet say it, and I basically stole it, which in and of itself is probably a violation of GDPR somewhere in there. So it's so I have this great GDPR consultant. If you need if you guys need any help, if you know anybody needs any help,
Oh
and
yeah.
then you say, oh cool, yeah, like
Cool.
definitely
Yes. Yeah.
send
Can
me an
you send me
intro.
their information?
And then I say, sorry, I can't give you their name or any of their personal identifiable information. That's it.
Wow.
No, so check this out. I was reading actually
That's so
on
bad.
I was actually, and then what makes it even funnier is that I'm in the business of connecting people with, with professionals of different sorts. So I put out this tweet. I was like, hey, let me know if you need a GDPR consultant. I have a really good one. And then I was waiting for people to reply so I could say the punchline. And then I only got one reply, a bunch of retweets. So I was reading on Reddit, and somebody was talking about GDPR, and they were saying the right to be forgotten, right? And they were asking if Magento is compliant with that. And they said, well, actually, you don't necessarily have to delete them. In fact, you might be legally liable if you do delete customer records because you need them for record keeping and compliance purposes for other laws. And that was just some random person on Reddit, so no idea if that's true or not. And no one's going to know what really the ground truth is until people start getting sued and precedents start getting set. But I thought that was the first time I'd heard that perspective on it, because I thought the right to be forgotten thing was pretty cut and dry. But I'd always wondered, like, you have to have records. You have to keep record, like if the IRS audits you and you say, I don't know. I'm assuming you have to have records for certain things. So
yeah, but so the other part of EU law that is at odds with the idea of just, forget me, forget I want to be totally CeeLo green here and forget you,
right,
that whole thing. But the problem is that there's other parts of EU regulation that requires that all transactional order data be kept in perpetuity forever.
Okay, so that's exactly what I'm talking about.
There's certain things that need to persist from an accounting and from you think about the kind of nightmare that might arise if you request that you be forgotten, but you had purchased an item that was up for recall that has lead paint in it, or it has those are the kind of things that you just from a common sense perspective would have to be sorted already.
Exactly.
However, one thing that I find really interesting is that with GDPR, and this is one of the conversations that we're sort of battling with a bunch of our merchants, is how do you handle fraudulent claims or sort of the spam or troll nature that can arise from this? So if you wanted to, I mean, certain companies would have to vet the response from a request for deletion. So someone comes and they ask for their information to be aggregated and sent to them, or they ask for their information to be deleted. Well, what's to stop somebody from creating hundreds of accounts a day and then putting in hundreds of deletion requests a day, right? So those are the kinds of things that I don't know that we're going to have solutions for right up front. It's going to be onerous. There's a lot of manual work that's going to go into it, and it could potentially create huge problems. So the enforceability is definitely on the side of the sort of case law and as much money as they have that they can prosecute it. But this is the one issue, is that the way that the EU is funding this is they will use money from from litigation to fund further litigation. So the only way that they can finance this is to actually successfully litigate, which means they have to sue people and they have to win in order to be able to sue people at all. And for anyone to take the law seriously, they're going to have to prosecute somebody. So that's the way we're understanding it and reading it right now. It's going to be it's going to be really, really tough.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost, I somehow got interested in trying to wrap my head around it. And the conclusion I keep coming to is that you're not going to have any idea what the sort of the ground truth is until these things start getting fleshed out. There's almost no point in philosophizing about what's written in there. Although, I mean, unless you're getting paid a lot of money to do it.
Yeah.
But
there's no point in talking about this thing that's only coming in 23 days. Let's not even bother.
Yeah, I mean, just because like nobody's gonna know, like you could go in, like we are saying, and build all this logic to delete everybody, and then it's like, oh, by the way, no, you don't have to do that because of these other laws.
You know what you could do is the easiest way that you could secure yourself forever from any issue with GDPR.
Delete the internet.
Just delete your whole account. Just delete everything. Just go out of business. Don't do business in Europe. That's really what they're saying.
Yeah.
Oh,
you have a problem with your goat?
What's on my arm? They asked if it was a tattoo. It's not a tattoo. It's a temporary tattoo. It's an Atwix tattoo.
Temporary.
I've got to flex though, because you want to see it.
Ah, look at that, you flexer.
Yeah.
Flickety flexer. Jam Sesh is in the room, by the way.
I know, Jam Sesh podcast. We love those folks. That
Who
might or might not be my
wife.
Yeah. I flex when I Rex. Let me continue.
Hey.
When I flex, let me continue. That's more Warren G. This is the Warren G.
I've noticed that the youngsters, they do this kind of a move. It's like in the youngster dance moves. They do this arm pump thing.
That is nope. Nobody does that.
I'm telling you, man, you gotta like every once in a while. I've been talking to people about. I talked to a few people at Imagine about this. I talked to a few youngsters. I talked to Dave McCauley about this.
Don't say youngster ever again.
I talked to Dave McCauley, who's a young man, about this, who's past version of me.
Also, another tattooed young man.
Also, a tattooed young man
Very
about
tattooed
this.
Man.
A lot of the young, like, okay, the person who just broke the record for Spotify streams in one day on an album launch, his name's Post Malone. He's this up and new rapper. Face tats. Face tats is the new thing. Yes, everywhere face tats. It's funny, you don't realize how big it is. It's huge. So anyway, so face tats, and then they do this dance thing when they dance, kind of like that. Anyway, Philip, we were
wait. On the subject of face tattoos, this is something that will actually be coming up on Future Commerce pretty soon.
Okay, good.
Walmart just changed their dress code to include that workers at certain stores can now wear jeans, which is interesting.
Interesting.
But now they have officially put in writing that you're no longer allowed to have face tattoos.
Interesting.
Wow. So if you're going to work at Walmart, and I've thought that it's a very strange corporation who says, you know what, face tattoos, we're cool with that, but you better be wearing khakis. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a very strange.
Yeah. No,
face tattoo, totally fine.
Totally fine.
Those are stonewashed jeans. I need to go home and change.
Get those out of here. Yeah, I appreciate their consistency on that. That's a strong move. We are going to get to some news, believe it or not. We are going to get to some news. We did have 2.2.4. Deuce point quattro that landed. So we're going to get all into that. Obviously,
you might have said it dropped.
It dropped.
Yeah, it dropped a deuce.
Dropped with some face tats. And so we're going to get all into that. Obviously, Philip has done a deep dive. He's going to go line by line on all that. I can't be held responsible for the specifics of the release. But we're going to get into that. And there's a lot of other things coming up in the show. So stick around. Well, I don't know why. It's like I'm going to a sponsor thing, but there's no sponsor thing. It just naturally kind of went that direction.
Which, we want to thank our sponsors. Thank you to Mage Mojo for their continued support of the Magetalk podcast. And whenever you need hosting, if you're looking for the best SLA in the entire Magento hosting,
can I say one thing?
Minutes, you want to check out Mage Mojo at magemojo.com, magemojo.com. Tell them Phillip sent you.
Can I do a quick native ad for Mage Mojo?
Oh, is that not what we just did?
No, yes. But that was pretty sort of pre-canned. This is on the fly, off the cuff. So I've had some people ask about like Mojo Stratus, like, is it really that good? Like, da 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 da. And then I don't know enough about AWS, to be honest, to know the specifics of Elastic File system versus other things in Aurora versus our RDS, all that kind of stuff. But I'm really pretty sure that they've got the best Magento AWS product on the market. And so whenever I ask people questions and they're like, and they say, well, why didn't they just use EFS? And then I ask Eric about it. He's like, dude, latency is too high. It just doesn't work at scale. And so what I like, my thing is like, if you really want to geek out with like Eric on the specifics of why they chose whatever they've chose with the way they're setting things up, like hit them up. I really think it's, and again, I don't know enough to know. And, you know, I'm obviously biased, but like, you know, I had somebody telling me that they like this other company called WebScale because they use these recipes and stuff, and they can load balance you between Google Cloud and Amazon Cloud. And then I asked Eric about it, and then he's like, yeah, no, the recipes aren't that good. There's a reason why. So
yeah,
he
Eric
knows
everything about everything. And actually, TJ says that he'll be, Eric Heilman will be on the e-commerceaholic live stream on Friday if anyone wants to ask those questions. We also have an episode with Eric that was supposed to launch before Imagine, and then we had some audio issues, which seems to be a recurring theme in the last few weeks. And that should be going live, I think, tomorrow. That should be going live on Magetalk. So if you want, listen to that first, then get on TJ's stream and ask all the follow-up questions. So.
Yeah, and then do you want to talk about our other wonderful sponsor, Vertex?
Yeah, I just want to give a big shout out. Thank you to Vertex for their continued support. Magetalk, we just re-signed them through the end of the year. Really excited to have them back with us. We're going to do at least one more big thing. You know, they were sort of instrumental for us to get some consistent transcript and show notes. By the way, made a big update over at magetalk.com. When you go to magetalk.com on every episode now, you'll see a time code with detailed show notes. You can actually click the time code now, and it'll queue up the player for you at the time code. It's pretty exciting. But had some really great conversation with the folks at Vertex. They love the show, and they are now, speaking of 2.2.4, they're baked into Magento Core as the first tax solution, third-party tax solution integrated directly into Magento in the new 2.2.4 release. So that's pretty freaking cool.
That's pretty
so thank you to Vertex for sponsoring Magetalk.
Thank you, Vertex.
And a special shout out to Aaron Kissling, who makes all of the very critical partner decisions, I'm sure, and most critical of all, the Magetalk partnership decision with Vertex. But she's awesome, and she, in my mind, basically hung the stars over at Vertex. So thank you, Aaron, for being a big fan of the show.
Thank you.
We're going to do some cool social stuff with them too. We're going to figure that out at some point.
That'd be good. That'd be good. So we've already started talking about deuce.4. Let's just jump right into it. The bundling of bundlers continues. We've got Amazon Pay.
I've grown a little bit, but I actually kind of love this idea.
It's okay. Tell me why.
So Amazon Pay, Vertex, and Klarna are all bundled now in Magento's core. Those integrations are bundled. They are not, like, I don't know. You could probably, it depends on how you spin it. You could say this is a good thing, it's a bad thing. From a system integrator perspective, it's a very good thing. Because one, we can't argue with code quality when it's already baked into the core. It's part of the core, right? Like, we can't sit here saying that we're going to charge you 10, 20 hours to install a module, and that we're going to sit there and vet the code, and that we're going to go through it with a fine-tooth comb. From an integrator perspective, if it's already in the core, Bob's your uncle. You can just turn it on. And that helps me. Because, well, hear me out. Okay. The reason that it helps us at Something Digital is that there are times where a client will ask us, what is it going to take to turn on Amazon Pay? And we come back and we tell them, well, all in, right? We have to look at the module. We have to look at the code quality of the module. We're going to install it for you. We're going to set up and configure. Yeah, $250,000. No, but it ostensibly could be 14 to 16 hours. And at a certain point, we kind of decide, well, does that need a project manager? Like, is that large? Is it 40 hours? Is it 60 hours? Is it 12 hours? We go through this process internally that I think is actually it's frustrating for a client for us to figure this out at every turn. And Amazon Pay is a thing that I think most stores need right now in 2018.
Right.
Because it aside from PayPal, it is probably the largest it is the largest and fastest growing secondary form of payment or third-party payments that you can find on the market right now. So a lot of customers need that. Now, you could probably argue whether or not Vertex is necessary to be in the core, but that it is what it is. Klarna is an interesting integration because Klarna is a thing that a lot of companies with high AOVs are already doing. We see it on a lot of RFPs these days where it's fractional payments. So it's like pay over time with no credit check needed. They also happen to be a Primera company, Klarna. They're owned by Primera, Magento's private equity firm. So that kind of makes the bundle makes a lot of sense there. But these are ostensibly things that I think are important for people, and for customers, for not just something digital customers, but the end customers of our customers.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting perspective, and that's definitely a perspective that for you guys as an enterprise solutions partner, at that level of the game, I can see how that would make a lot of sense. Obviously, you've got more community edition folks that are like, it's annoying to have these things bundled, and then you got to disable by default. Obviously, nobody's going to use the email provider. Everybody's going to use Magemail, and so now you got to remove that.
But that's been a thing forever, right? Like I, as far back as I can remember, there have been things in Magento Core that nobody ever uses, like right? Like the waste tax calculation module, that's been there forever. If I go back to Magento Community, look at 1.9.3, Phoenix Money Bookers, never use that. That's in the core. That's been in there for 100 years. There's all kinds of like DHL integration that nobody ever uses. So this stuff has been around forever, dude. Right. I mean, this is not a new thing.
Actually, Adam Levinson had a good question, digital operative in the house, which was, if there's a bug in a bundled module, is that going to be faster or slower to get fixed now that it's part of the core? Phillip, your thoughts?
That's a fantastic question. And he also follows up to say the whole value prop of marketplace is that, it doesn't need to be in the core, that we could optionally turn stuff on and off and install it, which I'm with you. But when, Adam is part of Digital Operative, you also have this conversation with clients. Do you not charge a client to install a third-party module that is not part of the core? Right?
Yeah,
you have to charge them.
Got to.
And that's that's one more barrier to entry of them taking good advice and doing the thing that they need to grow their business. When they ask you, what can I do to grow my business? And we tell them Amazon Pay, and then I have to come back and tell them it's going to be 15 hours to install a module. Nobody wants to hear that.
Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody has time
that's
for that.
That's my 2 cents, but I can totally see the rationale behind not having it.
Nobody else wants to hear? Nobody else wants to hear about the polls extension. Shout out to Alan for mentioning that one. Yeah. The polls extension, man. That's an old.
Who uses polls?
Come on, somebody. The funny thing is that'll come back in another form, right? Like there'll be some fancy JavaScript widget you can paste into your site. I mean, it already is. There's different types of polls, like, did you find this helpful or whatever? That'll come back. Everything old is new again. And polls is going to come back.
Yeah, I mean, Adam Levinson says we also burn hours fixing core Magento bugs, but that's part of the partnership now. You get Magento bucks for it, right? So at least we're getting some sort of credit for having done it. But that's the whole point of open source, right?
Now,
why would you have an open source community if there weren't bugs to fix or something to contribute back, right?
Yeah,
we complained 5 years ago that you couldn't contribute to Magento fixes that you'd found. And now we're complaining that we have to contribute fixes. We're going to find something to complain about. I'd rather complain that, the core product team now has to own a Klarna integration, and I don't have to chase down Klarna to fix something that I found in it. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, you can chase down. You have multiple people to chase down. Yep. And so, cool. Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of bundling that's happening.
That's not the only thing. That is a big thing.
It's virtually the only thing. No, I'm just kidding. Numerous fixes and enhancements including performance improvements. Can I read this in the voice? I recently was looking at the Magento training documentation, like developer training. Can I just read this whole thing in that voice?
Go right ahead. Yeah.
Almost 200 community contributions. These community no, but that's pretty dope. 200 contributions.
Yeah.
80 engineering fixes. Again, Phil, you jump in here and take over because I'm expecting you to be intimately familiar with all these particulars.
Yeah. I mean, gosh, there's a lot of it. A couple Magento masters are listed as contributing a lot of fixes in here. So like Danny Bricade is listed. I mean, there's so many. It's basically really comprehensive. They've really done a great job of listing the fixes and enhancements that were contributed in community engineering.
Yeah.
And they've actually attributed both with a link back to the GitHub pull request that fixes the issue, but also attributed it to the person or to the GitHub profile of who submitted the fix.
Right. And
so, yeah, that's.
We should get somebody on and just do a deep dive. We should just do a deep dive on the on this whole thing. Get somebody from their team that can just overview, a lot of stuff.
Yeah, community engineer. I mean, basically, there's a couple things, and like it's not in order of most significant
importance,
right?
Yeah.
I don't think it is. A couple things that stood out to me though is. I thought this was really funny. The admin global search is now translatable, extensible, and takes into account the ACL settings for the current user. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, it took 3 years for that to that sounds like that should have been table stakes. Like the fact that it doesn't obey ACL, like I can search for any customer, I can search for any order, and it doesn't take into account that I might not be able to have access to that.
Right.
That sounds like a problem.
That sounds like a snag.
So that shouldn't be an enhancement. That's like, whoops.
Yeah. So I was reading in the notes and I saw the emogrifier dependency has been upgraded to 2.0.0. And I was like, what in the world is an emogrifier? So I Googled it and it's actually something I'm quite familiar with. It converts CSS styles into inline CSS.
Yeah.
Which is something I did with Magento back in the day, and did some hackathon stuff on that. And it's pretty cool. It's kind of neat when you just take a CSS sheet and then automatically inject it into inline for email and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. I don't know which one they're using, but the word emogrifier is an interesting word. It's a very interesting word, and so that's cool. Good, nice work on that upgrade. Good upgrade.
It's a big upgrade, and it's the kind of thing like still to this day we still have issues, with our clients. It does take time and it takes money and resources from something digital to upgrade a point release in Magento. It is not just push a button. I wish it were, but there is a lot of change and fix and updates, especially when you already have patches that fix some of these problems and now they're core, right? So that becomes in and of itself another sort of an issue, in that we have to identify what those are, roll back the patches so that we get the core enhancement that's updated in the point release, which is a thing that is worth doing. But again, from an integrator's perspective, when a client is looking at what do I get out of this release? The question is, what do I get out of this release? Well, a lot of the bug fixes that you already have, like soupy patches that have already been applied, are in this. Well, we have to unapply them and then we get to reapply them. And what does that get me?
Yeah.
Well, you get a Klarna integration that you're not going to use. Okay. Like there's a bunch of it becomes hard to explain in some instances why you would want to upgrade to the point release. And there's a lot of other things in here that we could. So it's from a messaging perspective. I wish it were I wish it were easier to help justify to a client. It makes them a little slower on the uptake. But now that this is an official release, and we knew it was coming, but now it's an official release, it's now on the roadmap for all of our Magento 2 2.2 clients. It's definitely a thing that we're going to highlight as, as critical path for them, especially with a bunch of bug fixes and enhancements. So it's a good release. It's a good thing to see. To my knowledge, we haven't applied it for anybody yet. So I don't know of any, potential issues.
Gotcha. Well, in other news, we've released a Magetalk mug, in our swag store.
We didn't actually.
We did. We did.
Like
and we didn't. I did. They only give you a few colors to choose from, so I had to choose this maroon color, and then you quickly put the kibosh on that one.
Unbelievable.
And
if it were closer to the color of the pillow, which I felt like the color of the pillow was really
pillow was perfect. The pillow was a totally different design editor, and I think it let me just put in a color code, whereas the other designer only gives you certain choices. So we do have a beautiful bright orange red color, though.
You did say that you had disabled it, but I now see it re-enabled. So I don't know what that's all about, but okay.
Yeah, is it re-enabled? I thought because it's so Teespring is so strange. I tried to figure out how to disable it. You can delete it, but I clicked end campaign.
I don't know if I trust you. I don't know. I don't think I trust you.
I don't think I believe you. But
I think you saw one purchase from Alan, and he was like, you were like, oh no, we're re-enabling that. People want this mug.
No. He got it somehow after I ended the campaign. He's a hacksaw, that one. He went in and he hacked it and he got it. So it's going to be a limited edition off-color Magetalk mug that only us two are going to have. Actually, I canceled my order once you got mad at me, so only he'll have it. But I need a mug for my videos. I just use this plain Jane white mug. And I need a quality mug. Rebecca, I did a live stream with her yesterday. She had a Magento mug.
I saw.
And
she had a Magento mug. You were rubbing your microphone all over your beard like this.
Yes.
It was good.
It was good. So
it's the best. Everyone knows it's the best. Everyone loves it.
Yeah.
People tell us all the time it's the best.
Yeah. They love our mug. Actually, though, man, that tax jar one we did back in the day was so nice. I never actually got my hands on it. But
you know what's really, really sad is I brought those to Imagine 3 years ago, and TSA or probably JetBlue's check package, they broke like 11 of them in transit. So whatever made it through was actually given away at the Imagination Media table. Or in the Commerce Hero table at Pre-Imagine.
That's right.
So I also don't have one.
We could both be rocking them right now.
3 months and 85 emails back and forth to get that mug made. That's all it took.
A lot of work went into those. TJ said one of them, by the way.
TJ's got one of them. Are you serious?
Nice work, TJ.
Dude, it is huge, dude. Like it's at least 2 pints easily.
Yeah. Definitely. Geez, what else do we got, man? I've been getting into Reddit a little bit more recently. I've been engaging the Reddit community. They're a fickle bunch, man. They will downvote you, for no reason at all. And the other day, then the next day they'll upvote you. So I don't quite understand.
What makes no sense is that you'll just post, you'll be like, here's a video with the link in the description. That's right. It's not a great post.
It's not a good post.
Editorialization around what happened. Talk about what.
Understood.
You got to do a little bit better of a post job.
Got to do some work. Okay, I understand. By the way, Joseph Leedy said his mug has hairline cracks and leaks like a sieve.
Like a sieve. That's probably true and you can thank JetBlue's cargo hold for that. That was one of the ones that I saw. It looked sort of like, how Easter eggs kind of get those cracks all over them, but it's still the same color, so you're fine.
Yeah, right.
It looked like that, and I was like, you know what? Let's just roll with it. They're free. They're free mugs.
Just go with it. The color looks fine. The white is fine.
Actually, since we have a little audience here, I would like to issue a challenge. So we had a bunch of stickers for sale a number of years ago on the Sticker Mule marketplace, which they've since discontinued. And on the Sticker Mule marketplace, we had the best product descriptions ever for those stickers. Do you remember those? I remember writing them, and they were hilarious. I don't have those descriptions anymore, and I need someone to go through archive.org and find them.
Okay.
So if you could do that, I will send you Magetalk swag.
You heard it here first.
If you can find, I think we had 4 stickers. We had the nap, like I was going to listen to Magetalk, but I took a nap sticker.
Yes.
We had the Magetalk logo sticker. We had a sticker that was, I think, Rise of the Nether Dutch, which still cracks me up. And we had some other sticker too. So if you can find on archive.org or anywhere else where those sticker descriptions were, those product detail page descriptions are, DM them to me or hit me up, Phillip at magetalk.com, and I will send you some swag, some Magetalk swag.
By the way, Jamie Huskisson just dropped in and graced us with his presence, which is a great moment for us to mention Meet Magento UK. Woo! You've already mentioned you might be speaking at it. When I spoke to Rebecca yesterday, I tried to find out who the speakers were. Lips were sealed.
She was coy.
She was coy. She played the coy cat. And but you've just now revealed that you might be speaking.
No,
June 13th.
I said I might be attending.
Might be attending.
I don't want to be presumptuous, Jamie. I didn't say that. Don't listen to Kalen.
You might be keynoting.
No, because my wife is listening, and I've not cleared it with her either. So I don't know. But I don't know what's happening.
Been approached to keynote.
I've not. None of that is true. I said I'm definitely eyeing it to possibly attend. That's definitely what.
Okay, so get your tickets for Meet Magento UK.
Kalen's like starting not only like problems with me and Jamie, he's starting problems with me and my wife.
Just so you know, I have zero actual information from Phillip. He doesn't tell me anything now that he's a big deal. You know, we don't talk anymore. It's all a show for the cameras.
We talk more than ever.
He doesn't tell me any secrets. Oh, you know what I wanted to talk about was my conspiracy theory about Amazon acquiring Magento. I get your thoughts on that. So I'm seeing Amazon in the marketplace, right? They're the biggest booth, by other than Magento, right?
Right.
Or as big. And I'm thinking to myself, man, they're giving them so much mind share and real estate. And sure, maybe it's just the payments thing. It fills a need. It's just payments. That's all it is.
It could be that,
There's
Brian
nothing to see here.
Go work there 6 or 8 weeks ago.
Yeah. Right. And so I was thinking it's just like, I was talking to somebody and they said, yeah, maybe Amazon's going to acquire them. And I was like, no. I think Adobe is the most likely candidate. And then the next day I was like, wait a minute. So I don't know. I really, I can't see how it would make sense strategically, right? Like Amazon doesn't need the technology platform. I don't know. They don't need anything really. They're acquiring brands, right? But you got to at least speculate. It's worth speculating about.
Because then if that's when we started calling ourselves futurists, like retail futurists, over on Future Commerce, we realized that you never actually have to be right as a futurist.
Absolutely
you speculate about the future. When you are right, you look like a freaking genius. Like,
right. So when you're not right, you just don't mention it.
When you're not right, you don't point out how not right you were. But when you are right, you're one of the smartest people ever.
Yeah, no, actually, there's this guy that
then you get a job as an analyst.
At Forrester. Actually there's this guy that said that specifically is a strategy, is just throw out predictions. Yeah. Because you'll get some, and the ones you don't, it won't really matter. But then I remembered, Brian, your cohort, Brian Lang moved to Amazon, and you told me that he wouldn't even tell you what he's working on. It's that
he won't
top
tell anybody.
Secret.
He won't even tell anybody. He won't even say it on the show. I will say this though: he works for Amazon Pay, and Amazon Pay as a division is located on the org chart below Alexa's team, the Alexa team. So it could be that he's doing something, I know for a fact that he's working on partnerships because he's talking to a lot of retailers about Amazon Pay from what I've heard through the grapevine, but he's not told me that directly.
Right.
So it could be that they're looking to do launch partnerships on Alexa with Pay,
Right.
with a ton of third-party companies. Because right now you can't buy anything except for stuff from Amazon Marketplace and Prime shipping on Alexa.
Right.
So I could speculate, but I don't know anything. And the fact that I can say even that tells you that I don't know anything, because
Yeah, exactly. See, that's the thing.
Right.
If you would have just told you or me on the DL,
Right.
then we wouldn't have been able to
Then we
talk
wouldn't be
about
able
it
to talk
because
about
we
it at
didn't.
all. Right.
We
Right.
just get to start rumors left and right.
Right.
But so what about this? What if Amazon Pay acquired Magento just purely for the payments revenue, kind of in the way that PayPal didn't acquire Magento, but there's such a strong strategic partnership there. What if they acquired Magento just purely to gobble up the payments?
I mean, that sounds like the eBay PayPal acquisition
Sounds
strategy.
a lot like it. Sounds
Right?
a lot like it.
I think it would be really dumb. I'll be honest with you. I don't know. Magento is its own beast. I think I said this on Twitter, and that half of Magento's value is the brand. And I cannot see people that are so fanatic about Magento as its own brand and its own identity. And the whole "we bleed orange." You have orange in your background. I have a freaking tattoo, right? Temporary tattoo. Right. Like the logo mark, the color. Like I bought orange shoes just to go to the conference. I just cannot see that Amazon, who buys brands and then gets rid of their brand, I cannot see how they acquire something like Magento and even know how to let those things coexist. Now, some people would say Whole Foods. Some people would probably say, someone else brought up Twitch. And Twitch and Whole Foods are both very, very, very early acquisitions. They're a year old at most. And while you can build value add in those early acquisition phases, I think over time people become very frustrated. I mean, people are complaining left and right about Whole Foods right now. They're saying Amazon's ruined it. They've changed the whole corporate structure. They've had some serious issues with their order management platform and their warehouse management platforms. Like everything that Amazon is doing to try to make that business better is being blamed on the shortcomings of Whole Foods in general. And I don't see how Amazon doesn't look like the bad guy in a Magento brand acquisition relationship ever. Like Amazon will only be looked at as somebody who's going to ruin the brand, right?
Yeah. By the way, you talk about something for a few seconds. I need to get a charger for my laptop because it's about to die.
How do you not have your laptop plugged in? This is phenomenal.
Do you think?
Oh, Jamie Huskisson says something really great, actually. Jamie says that Zappos is the key case study. And I've actually, it's interesting. That's really, really, really true. Zappos has retained, its own management structure. But I will say, Zappos was like the place to shop for a while, right? But how many people are shopping at Zappos now? I have to, I don't know. I have to believe that Amazon has probably cannibalized a good portion of what Zappos' original, direct marketplace traffic would have been. I don't know. I'm basically just buying time now until Kalen comes back with a laptop charger. How he could start recording without a laptop charger is beyond me. But that's just whatever it is. I don't know. It's interesting. Jamie has a lot of really good points. Actually, I'd like to hear Jamie speculate about some of this. He says the founders are still there, the culture too, independence. Maybe that's what Magento, or is that what Magento needs this time?
I mean, so
yeah.
So like my thinking is like, there's no company that could afford Magento at the price tag they're going to need to be at, which also like is going to have the same, like they're going to have to get gobbled up by somebody big. And right.
So I don't know. Maybe that is one exit. I mean, an IPO is another exit. Look at how many techs are going IPO nowadays. Look, like there was this, like IPOs were few and far between for the last 8 years under the last administration. Relaxed regulation and a renewed bull market in a big way is pushing a lot of tech companies into initial public offerings. I feel like the real strategy for Magento is to forego being purchased by a larger entity and risk its brand being liquidated or watered down. The way that they control their own future is to IPO.
I agree.
Not that you couldn't be bought out in the future by another large entity. It happens all the time. But Magento can get the multiplier on its value for all of the things in the marketplace that it's checked off now, like all of the boxes that it's ticked.
Yep.
It'll get more value, I think, out of an initial public offering and a stock offering than it would from being purchased and bought out. And plus,
totally agree.
If I'm Mark Lavelle, and I'm not, but I do have a picture of me holding his leg up backstage, which is its own thing. If I'm Mark Lavelle, taking a company public would be on my bucket list, right? Like that's, Bill Me Later was a phenomenal success, and he's been sort of the key to other successes and other turnouts and acquisitions. Look at how eBay Enterprise kind of split up very gracefully. You had Radial that came out of that. You had obviously Magento, which he went on to helm. You have a lot of things that have kind of he's orchestrated some really, really elegant entries and exits. If I were him, and I'm not, but if I were, taking a company public would be a big bucket list item for me.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. No, and I think that is the one way they'd be able to do it and really retaining the brand. And if anybody buys them, it's going to be the same thing that is going to be the same story all over again with the previous acquisitions, I think. And can I just say, I've recently become a Lavelle fan. I did a little video on it.
Yeah.
How long has he been there now? Is 4 years, 3 years?
Well, Mark was at eBay Enterprise and helped. Mark was part of the team that acquired Magento,
right,
at X.commerce at the time. So
he's been
around for a long time,
5-6 years probably.
Yeah.
But anyway, I got into the game obviously when Roy and Yoav were in charge, and was always just, like they were big, heroes to me.
Right.
And so, the original founders, that kind of thing. And Mark's, I've always thought he was cool and everybody's cool, but like, I never didn't see him at that same level as the original founders. You know what I mean? And it was just at this coming back from the conference and realizing all the community stuff that's been happening, you being on stage, Magento Masters, community engineering. I mean, it goes on and on. I'm like, man, I think he's sort of, and not that it's just him, he has a whole team, but I think he really gets it. He's really driving it. And something happened, and I'm a huge fan now. I'm a fanboy. I'm a Mark Lavelle fanboy.
That's a good thing. I'm a Mark Lavelle fanboy as well. I still do not understand. I've seen Roy speak on 3 occasions.
Yeah.
I saw Roy speak at Innovate in 2011. I saw Roy speak in 2013 at the Hard Rock, or at the M Resort, and in 2014 at the Hard Rock. Those were the 3 times that I've seen Roy speak. Love Roy. Don't get me wrong. I don't think that Roy is a great public speaker. I don't see the passion that you see. I saw a nervous guy on stage.
Okay.
And I felt like Mark was always cool as a cucumber. I do understand where people are coming from about Mark's opening talk this year at Imagine, and how it felt like it had a lot of conviction to it, and how he was steering Magento as an organization to be a lot more proactive and leading a conversation around their purpose and where they see themselves. Again, the kind of vision casting you do as a leader when you're not looking to just sell out to Amazon.
Right.
Just as an aside.
Right.
But creating, like, that is definitely a new direction for Mark. But I've always seen Mark as a really cool, very well delivered, calm speaker. He doesn't get excited, and maybe that might be translated as lack of passion to some people. I don't see it that way. But I've always enjoyed his public persona, and even more so now.
I've always thought he was. No, I mean, I've always thought he was. I've always thought he was great.
Right.
I saw it as just another. Okay, this is just another company that is owning Magento, and they're going to get sold off to somebody else, and it's just going to be there. There's no ownership. There's no real ownership of it, like in the way that by default, the founding team just gets that credit by default because they're the founders.
Yeah.
And everybody's anti Yoav now because of Oro, but I'm still a huge fan. And I don't know how everybody stopped being a fan so quickly. But yeah, the founding team just automatically gets that credit. And I just sort of always assumed everybody that's been at the helm since then, it's just, okay, let's sell this for more. Let's try to make some money here. But yeah, I really flipped on that. And I feel like he's the real deal, So anyway, with that, we're well over our time.
Yeah, I'm way over time. Really appreciated it. Really, 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 really cool to actually have people live attending, giving us feedback. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, right? No, this is a lot of fun. Thanks for tuning in. And remember to go to iTunes and give us a 5-star.
Not called iTunes anymore, but that's cool.
Apple Podcasts, and Google Play, and
Stitcher,
all that stuff. NPR One. Go to NPR One.
We're not on NPR One.
Or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Yeah, exactly. Any smart speaker device.
Give us a thumbs up on YouTube and all the stuff. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, subscribe.
Hit the bell.
Be part of our Bell Bro Nation. Click the bell.
Click the bell and subscribe. Thanks for listening. And we will see you next week.
Yeah. Peace.
Now I have to close the stream while looking at the camera and smiling and look for the button.